you're a high income or a low income, or, I mean, whatever policies matter to you personally and you and your family and the effects, that's what you should consider and talk about in your relationship.
Hey, what's going on? It's your man Cass,
And Bell.
and we are here for Divorce Not an Option, the talk show where we talk about relationships for our 22 years of experience and try to help people out in marriage and relationships. So, what are we talking about today, baby?
Yeah, so today I thought we'll talk about a topic in political and relationships. So basically your political views and how it affects your relationship in this political climate.
All I gotta say is go Trump, baby. That's how it is. Show over. No, I'm just joking. I'm
Oh
just joking. No,
boy.
no, no. No, I think it is interesting. I think that's a great topic to talk about because I think that there's an old saying that I heard growing up was a house divided cannot, flourish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think is true. I remember, and this is not. We'll talk about this probably another topic, but in high school I had a girlfriend. In
Mm-hmm.
high school, baby.
Okay.
High school.
Mm-hmm.
High school. Okay.
Sure.
It was high school, baby.
Okay.
Anyway, so her mother was Spanish and
Mm-hmm.
her father was Vietnamese or somewhere, and he was one religion, she was the other.
Mm-hmm.
And they have three or four kids together and,
Mm-hmm.
and flourish. So, not every household that's divided does it work. I know our house is divided as far as iPhone and Android. Half of the house is team iPhone, the other half is team Android. Unfortunately, the Android people is my wife and my son, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
And of course, my daughter, who is the best in the world, is team iPhone now. So, a house divided can survive. But let's
Yeah.
talk particularly about politics. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this year was very heated. I saw a lot of articles and things online where people were breaking up
Mm-hmm.
because one person supported Kamala, the other supported Trump, and they
Mm-hmm.
actually broke households where people were actually divorcing and breaking up. I mean, it was like COVID, I understood, because a lot of times you don't get to spend a lot of time with your wife or your husband, and now you
Mm-hmm.
stuck in the house with them. You're like, oh no.
Right.
But over political ideas, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and people were actually breaking up because of that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a term that's been coined for that, which is called political divorce.
Political
Yes,
divorce.
political divorce is a new term that actually, because of, I'll say 2016, politics starting
Hmm.
from there with Trump running, and the way that he, kind of, you know, rattle up his base, and so that created a lot of tensions.
Hmm.
There was also that one, divorce that was really, really in the media. It was an older couple who was, I think, in California, who was married for over 30 years,
Hmm.
and she, voted for, of course, a Democrat, and her husband voted for Trump, and she decided to divorce him because of that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's called, I mean, divorce attorneys has coined that as a political divorce just because it is, something that they're seeing. I will say, in the last couple of years, and this research, there's a lot of research that are taking
Hmm.
place. And so there is a particular research that's been done by Wakeview Research. And basically what they found out is that 29% of relationship, tensions are due to political.
Wow.
Um,
29? That's like almost
29%.
30%.
Yeah. And that's just relationship tension. So that's not breakups or anything.
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
just, but there is a vast breakup. So with the breakup, you have 11% that actually ended some sort of relationship, regardless if it's marriage or together. That have ended for political views. And then you have, out of that, you do have the biggest group, which is millennials. 22% of us millennials, myself, not you. He's not millennial. Anyways, 22% of us millennials are breaking up more, breaking up relationships, any relationship, than any other groups.
I saw this one show. I don't know if it was like the Love Island or something like that. I forgot, one
Mhm.
of those shows where they don't know each other, but then they meet and they
Yeah.
try to get married.
What, Love is
Well,
Blind or
something
whatever?
like that. I don't
Okay.
know, one of them shows. And I saw that like they got to the altar or they got there, they were talking
Mhm.
about, and she asked him his like, what do you think about LGBT community?
Mhm.
What do you believe about Black Lives Matter? Because he
Right.
went to a church that she
Mhm.
thought was it, and he said honestly, he was like, well, I don't really concern myself with that. He's like, I don't, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter to me.
Right.
I don't feel any
Mhm.
way about it. You know what I mean? And then she said, "Oh, I can't marry him because of that."
Mhm.
And I think what people tend to do, I think that political views are one of the worst reasons to break up for because of this. We could all have views of politics. We could
Mhm.
like certain policies or certain things, but if we're not incorporating it into our lives
Mhm.
on a daily, then I don't see it as a problem or an issue. For example, if I am anti-abortion, right?
Mhm.
And because that's a political view right
It
now. Yeah, if
is.
I'm anti-abortion, but I don't, bash or get mad at people for it. I don't talk negative in the sense. I don't, try to go out there and stop people from, I don't do it. I just, my political views, I don't agree with it. But
Mhm.
I'm not taking action against anybody else's rights.
Mhm.
And I think that right there, that's the line that shouldn't be crossed. Like in a marriage, like if you have a husband or a wife that is so have views, but they're so into their views that it's creeping into the marriage.
Mhm.
That's a problem.
Mhm.
I believe that's when it's okay because now our ideals are different to the point where it's affecting the marriage.
Mhm.
But I do understand those that are, but I do think people take it too far because my political views don't necessarily have to affect our relationship.
Mhm.
You know, if I'm a white person and I'm not into Black Lives Matter, it doesn't matter to me,
Mhm.
whatever, then it shouldn't be a factor on you being with me
Mhm.
because it doesn't affect my life. I don't really have to be concerned about that. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
don't think every white person in the world has to be necessarily concerned about what's going on in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? If
Mhm.
their whole world doesn't, you know what I mean? In
Mhm.
that sense, they don't have to have a political stance on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think there are a lot of people out there that if it doesn't, I may not agree with it,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. That's on you. And I think people take it too far that they can't differentiate
Mhm.
the difference between action politics and just what side do I believe is right or wrong.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think when people view politics and look at politics, they usually kind of incorporate it into their lives, right? They don't separate
Mm.
it, and that's the issue. Again, politics, used to be something that we'll talk about on a dinner table, right? Couples would come and dinner table and kind of talk about politics in a very unprovoked way, like,
Hmm.
just kind of discussing their views. But then it turned into, well, it's more creating tensions because, you may not agree with what's going on right now. You may not agree with this person. And so it's just now creating a lot of tension. So you can even discuss it at a dinner table with your spouse or with your significant other because it's, you're angry. Again, it's because you're incorporating into your lives. And so to me, politics is just it's your, it's what you believe in, it's what you believe in. But it's worldview, right? So, but it's not your morals. I think there's a difference between your morals and
Mm.
your worldview. How you view the world and how you view your own morals and your relationship is completely different. And I think we're kind of crossing the lines.
Yeah, when you was talking, I was thinking about how, you know, when people in marriage in general,
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be differences of opinions.
Right.
And I think people don't understand that or want to accept that, everybody has their own mind and have their own ideas.
Yeah.
Now it comes to a thing of now as a household, we come together. what decision we're going to make as a household.
Mhm.
And that's always up for discussion.
Mhm.
But in general, if you see certain I'm not a Trump fan,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of things of Trump that I'm like, okay, due to our economic stance and stuff like that,
Mhm.
some views you don't agree with.
Mhm.
But at the end of that's okay. You know what I mean? Because she's allowed to have her opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. When we vote, we don't see this was like back in the day where like households voted, only the male could vote, right?
Mhm.
So of course, I think the tension was there. If the wife didn't agree, her voice wasn't heard, and he would just make the
Mhm.
decision. So I understand that, but it's not like that anymore. At the end of the day, everybody can vote.
Right.
And if your husband or your wife votes differently from you, that's their choice.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, is not you don't have to come together as a household for you to vote for somebody. You could say, okay, well, you want to vote for this person for certain things. I want to vote for this person for
Mhm.
certain things. Let's put our vote in. So at the end of the day, we don't have to vote as a together household. There's
Mhm.
not one vote coming from the marriage anymore like back in the day. So allow grace, allow your significant other to have their opinions. And I think we've lost the art of agreeing to disagree anymore.
Mhm.
It's we have this mentality, you're with us or against us mentality, and that's creeped into marriage, and we're not going to be 100% on every ideas. You may be anti-abortion, I may be for abortion, right? But at the end of the day, it only comes if we have a baby. Now we have to discuss where we go with that. But that should have been a discussion even before you got
Mhm.
married,
Right.
because at the end of the day, that's a big decision. If you're
Mhm.
one is pro, one is anti, then it's like, okay, when we reach this crossroad, if we do, that's going to be a problem.
Mhm.
But politics, how is that a problem in your household? If you vote for Kamala and you vote for Trump, how is that affecting your household? How is that your everyday life? How is that messing things up? Now, you could talk about money, taxes, and these views that affect the
Mhm.
household as a whole. But in general, how that doesn't affect the relationship you have. We have to stop looking at one person is bad and one person is good. That's how politics has gotten, where this
Right.
person is deemed bad for one side, this person is deemed good for the other, and vice versa. It needs to be different views, different ideologies, different stance on different policies, and you respect everybody's view on it. You may not agree with it. You may have a strong argument against how they view it, which is great, but it should never be. It should never get to the point where you and your spouse are fighting and your marriage is in shambles because of a political ideology. I
Mhm.
think that's completely ridiculous. I get back if this was Nazi times and they were killing people. They on that level, you know what I'm saying? But it's not. I'm not saying it's not serious, so I'm not going to try to take that away. But it's not to the point where your life is in danger because you want to go one way or the other. As a black man, somebody may say, well, you vote for Trump, that's more police brutality, blah, 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 blah. But from my view, I don't see it that way. You know what I mean? But you have your right to the opinion, that's fine. But it should never be like, well, I'm going to leave you because that's how you see things. I think that's ridiculous. And then I think it goes to the brainwashing that a lot of this politics have with people. If you're so brainwashed that politics is breaking up your relationship, if you're allowing some other people's views or ideas that are not yours to break up your marriage or your relationship, then at the end of the day, you shouldn't be in a relationship because you can't accept your other person's ideas that may be different from yours. Because that's what it comes down to. Because you're with somebody that is not your carbon copy, they're going to have different ideas than you. They're going to see things differently, but it's how you come together. And that's what relationship is. You may vote for one person, I may vote for another, but in our day-to-day lives, we come together, we compromise, and we could talk about those differences and not get mad at each other, not yell and scream, not say we're going to leave, but we should be able to talk about it, agree to disagree with it, go back and forth, and keep it moving. Because to be honest, there's a lot more things in your life, in your relationship to worry about than politics going on right now, than who wins the presidency. Because at the end of the day, life be lifing. And if your whole life is arguing about politics, then you're not lifing good enough.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with everything you say. I mean, I agree, with the one person is bad or the other. Again, it's a big thing with the Democrats and Republicans. I mean, anyone who knows me know I'm an independent. I do not affiliate with Republicans or Democrats. I'm strictly a, independent.
And I
Eh,
tend to and I tend to go. I'm sorry to cut you. I apologize, Kat. I'm
mhm.
sorry. I don't want people
No.
to. Oh, and I tend to side a little bit with Republican
Mhm.
policies, and not that I am a Republican full heartedly, but some policies I do agree with, especially in the Black community and thing. And I don't believe in the handouts and stuff like that. That I believe that to me Democrats do. But like I said, I don't hate anybody that's the Democrat. I don't hate anybody that voted for Kamala. You know what I mean? I don't hate that at all. Because if you feel that she was the best candidate or whoever is the best candidate for you, vote for that. If your idea, see, I think people need to stop voting on party lines. We need to start voting for policies that any party is presenting. Like there's some independent policies that I like. There's some Republican policies. There's some Democratic policies. All right, and I just look at the person running and say, okay, whether their stance, whether their policies, and does that align with myself and my ideas, and that's it. But people are not doing that. People are arguing party lines. If you're a Democrat, you're evil to a Republican. If you're a Republican, you're evil to a Democrat. And that's not the way it should be.
Right, right, and that is correct. I mean, really should just be, I mean, and I will say there are more, people out there that actually are married to the same party affiliation. I think you have a high number, 87, percent. They
Mhm.
do marry their, their own kind. So if you're a Republican, you tend to marry Republican. If you're a Democrat, you marry Democrat. It's just where you come in terms is the different policies. Now, although I'm an independent, yes, I did vote it for Kamala Harris because not only she's my sorority sister, yay, but also because of the fact that I'm not a fan of Trump. So I would never ever voted for Trump, you know. But then again, like I say, it all depends on, your ideas and just kind of talk about it. Just because I voted for one person doesn't mean that I'm gonna go against you for voting, my spouse for voting, for, someone else, for another candidate. That should never interfere with your relationship whatsoever. But there are amicable ways to have discussions. I mean,
Mhm.
politics is something that should be discussed. We can have an intellectual conversation about
Mhm.
our different views. Again, has nothing to do with your morals or anything, because when you are picking a partner, right, on both sides, you're looking at what their morals, you're looking at how, they're treating you, and your trust factor and how this person is going to be as a father or mother, all of those good qualities that you're looking for. There's not a quality that's going to say, oh, what is your worldview? I mean, this is stuff that you'll talk about, but it's
Mhm.
not a breaking, let's go to the divorce, and do because of our difference in political, just because we cannot come together and just kind of discuss things at, just disgusting in a very positive way. Again, so where it's getting the lines are crossing a lot is the fact that we've reached a boiling point, right? And that's because news media is 24/7. It's accessible to us in 24/7 with our, smartphones
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
with social media.
Mhm.
We're looking at articles, we're sharing, we're looking at media clips, and all of that is to divide us. None of this stuff that you're seeing is really to bring anyone together. It's all division. And that's why you have all of this contentions going on, is because people are very divided, and it spoils to the relationship. If you believe in this candidate, or if you believe what they're doing right now, then you and I cannot be together because you're morally corrupt.
Mhm.
And that's necessarily not true, right? Because
Mhm.
again, as I stated, your worldview and morals are completely separate from your politics. Politics or worldview, or what you see for the world, what you see, climate change, all of that, and if you agree or disagree, but it has nothing to do with how this spouse or is going to treat you.
Yeah. I definitely, I know when, during this whole latest with Kamala and Trump, I wasn't a Kamala fan. My views was just, was business. I was like, if she did certain things, I wanted to see more of her as a VP. And I feel from my judgment
Mhm.
that she didn't do enough as a VP to prove I should be president. I didn't like the campaign, these things,
Mhm.
my wife disagreed and she's like, well, baby, I think blah. And, we talked about it, we laughed about it, we went back and forth. But at the end of the day, that's fine. It's not a big issue. I don't sit there and worry at night that my wife is a Kamala Harris voter and our marriage can't go on. I didn't really care about that. That had nothing to do with our marriage. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Now, the only issue I think that is really more of a moral thing, religious thing, is the abortion issue,
Mhm.
the LGBTQ issue, things like that. But on that level, you can still agree to disagree. You could be pro rights, you could be pro choice, and pro life. I think you could be both. You're in your marriage. At the end of the day, you just have to understand this is how they view it. This is how I
Mhm.
view it. And then hopefully you don't come to that dilemma where you have to work that out because now you have a problem. But those are stuff that should be. I think those moral issues in politics should have already been discussed
They should
before you
have
got
been.
married
Yeah.
because those could be issues that could really divide you.
Well,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
I mean, they're
saying?
deal breakers, you know?
Because let's say you marry a woman or a man that has
Mhm.
a child in the LGBTQ community
Right.
and you're anti-LGBT community,
Yeah, their
that
relation's
could
not
be,
gonna work
that's a
out.
problem in the relationship.
Yeah.
Or let's say you're getting you meet a woman and she doesn't believe in abortion and you do. That could be an issue in the future when she has so those types of things. I think those are beyond political.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's argued in the political arena because of the process it takes to do those things or
Yeah,
whatever,
and
the
those are your
rights.
beliefs
Yeah,
though,
and
you
those are
know, those are
exactly.
your core beliefs, you know,
Yeah.
these are your based on your core belief system that you may have, maybe, it's your family dynamics, how you grew up,
Hmm.
that's what shapes some of our, core beliefs. So if those are your core beliefs, then yeah, that should have been discussed, in the beginning, just like you discuss everything else,
Yeah, because
if you want to have kids or not, all of that should have been discussed.
that's not really political views. Those are
Mhm.
moral views, and I think that's the issue. But nobody should sit here and argue about that when it comes to the political arena because those are moral issues that your relationship should have already discussed and should have been aligned. Because morally, I think you have to be more aligned in your
Mhm.
relationship than politically.
Right.
Now, when they both blur together, you should already be aligned on certain things. Politically, now there's differences. I know that okay, you may be believe in abortion, but I don't believe in abortion after 3 months.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there, that's that gray area where I believe in it, but after a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
So now you got to go towards the candidates that okay, cool. I may be more Republican because they say after three,
Mhm.
and that's okay. But I think morally, if you're like anti, you're pro, if you're dating a lesbian, a bisexual woman,
Mhm.
and you are like Catholic and you don't believe in it, that's not a political issue. And you shouldn't even be talking about the
Mhm.
rights of anything. It should be your views together and say, okay, well, I believe this, I believe this. How can our marriage survive if you choose to move forward? Because, like I said, my ex that, in high school, her family, they had moral division in their religions,
Mhm.
but they sat down, they talked about it,
Mhm.
they talked about the differences, and they said, okay, is our love strong enough for us to make it through this, to
Mhm.
for me to accept how you view things, and for me to accept how you view things, how for me to accept how you view things, is our love, our bond strong enough for that? And that's another discussion. That's a whole nother thing, and that's what you should do before you get to the point of talking politics.
Mhm.
Now, when you're talking politics, it should be strictly on the policies and what policies affect your family and how and vote and stuff like that. It shouldn't be a moral. I don't think politics should be a moral dilemma argument where you're breaking up. I think people take it too serious. And it's that mentality of you're with us or against us. I think that has seeped into our relationships. That's really ruined so many marriages that could be great because at the end of the day, you love this person. This person is your guy, your girl that you decide to spend the rest of your life with. And if you think there's not going to be head bumps at some time, then you're fooling yourself. You're gonna bump heads. I mean, you may bump heads on how to raise your children. You may bump heads on where you want to live and how and what careers you're. There's a lot of, but you know what happens? The beautiful thing in marriage and relationships is called compromise.
Mhm.
And the thing is, no successful marriage could happen unless both people have compromise.
Mhm.
Compromise is not somebody winning or losing, is us coming together and saying, okay, let's make a decision. Sometimes it goes against you, sometimes it goes for you. But at the end of the day, compromise is what matters. If you are solely leaving because of political views, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not so extreme. Like, you don't want to be a black person and you marry a person that, says I support the KKK. I think that's extreme. You know what I mean? You go in your man's closet, he has the white robe. You know what I'm saying? Then I think, yeah, okay. But just about policies and taxes and all that stuff. I mean, come together, talk about it, come to a compromise, because that's what marriage is about. Compromise. And you should not be letting political people that you've never met in your life, policies that may not even affect you ever, or you know what I'm saying, stop you from being happy with the person you're supposed to be with.
Yeah, well said. I mean, you're not going to agree with everything, right? You may voted for your candidate and they do things that you don't agree with.
Hmm.
So again, it's all part of learning how to live with each other in, the best way you can, right? Not getting into these frictions and tensions and letting it get so overwhelming that you now have to consider, divorce or separation. Compromising again. When you do talk about relationship, politics. There are some tips. You can don't talk about it on dinner table. I'll say that much. It may spoil your dinner. Especially if you do not know how to, compromise. If you don't know how to have a conversation and you just want to argue about your point, then I think discussing at dinner table is not a good time. Discussing it before bedtime is not a good time either, because that can mess up your sexual intimacy.
Hmm.
You may want to sit here and start talking about it, and it creates an argument. And now you have to go sleep somewhere else, or you just not gonna, get anything because, both of you are upset and you don't want to go to bed angry.
For I want to get mine. You
You
know what I'm saying? But I think too that I think the problem, I think we need to even go deeper into it. I think if your marriage is having a problem because of political views, I think there's more problems there.
Yeah, there is. There's always more problem because, if it's deeper than political views, it could be because again, it's going to create, animosity. It's going to create, stress,
But even
anxiety.
before that,
Um,
I think if you have a marriage where you can't respect your spouse's
mhm.
different ideas, then the marriage had problems even before the political came up.
Right,
Where if
right.
you look at a man and he's a good man or a good woman,
Mhm.
right? But what's stopping you is their political views. I think that you are so self-centered in
Yeah.
yourself that you can't allow somebody to have different ideas than you. And I think those people that are like that are not good for relationship or marriage, because
No.
if you can't look at your spouse and love them for who they are and say you have different
Mhm.
ideas, and that's fine as long as those ideas don't come into our marriage and mess us up,
Mhm.
then it is. But if you're automatically like, oh well, if you support Trump or you support Kamala, I'm done with you, then I think there's a deeper problem with yourself, and you'll never find a proper spouse for yourself, because marriage is about two different people
Mhm.
coming together to build a life together.
Yeah, that is correct. Yes, there are, other, deeper issues. Maybe, as you stated, you're, self-centered. and you cannot, see other viewpoints. It's only you, and you, then that's a selfish, right? You're just a selfish person, and there's
Mhm.
other core issues with yourself. Because we should be able to exist in a world with different opinions and different viewpoints. We all don't think the same. We're not, we're not carbon copy of each other. We're not twins. We're not triplets. We all, even triplets and they have different minds. We all have our own minds and our own opinions on things. And again, it is opinions, right? So that's our viewpoint. And I think a best way to go around this, and again, for anyone who's, having some contentions in their relationship, in their marriage, and, and don't know where to go, the best thing to do is, again, to talk about your different views, compromise. And if it really gets to a point where you cannot seem to compromise, where you just want to argue your point and argue, then it's best to seek counseling. Before it's too late. Before then, it's not just political views, then it's everything else
Yeah.
that you mentioned. So
Yeah.
seek some help.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on a point. I know we're going to wrap this up right now. You touched on a point earlier where at the end of the day, whatever candidate you vote for, you don't agree with everything they
Mhm.
do. Kamala, to me, Kamala, she for the black people, but then she was married to a white person. To me, that was a problem.
Mhm.
But, other people like, that's fine. She's for the black people. And that's fine if that's how you view it. So if your own candidate could not do everything that they said they're going to do, or they don't embody the politics they say they want to practice, then why is it that you put that standard on your spouse?
Mhm.
You don't put it on the politician that, you don't agree with everything they done. If you sit there and you agree with everything a politician does, then you're brainwashed and you don't understand the point of politics. You know what I mean? It's not meant for you to agree with everything. We're supposed to argue. It's the Constitution for freedom of speech and back and forth. But if you're okay with your politician or whoever you're voting for not abiding by everything their promises or everything they say they're going to do, then why would you do that to your spouse?
Yeah.
You,
And
you
and
know,
yeah, and life is so difficult on its own. I mean, let's be honest, guys. These politicians are millionaires, right? I,
hmm
I mean, they're not paying your bills. The policies that they do have, I would say, if you really want to focus on policies, your local politicians, your local policies, our mayor, or governors, or state representatives, those are the people that we really should care about as far as, the policies, because that's what will affect us, your state and everything. Like in Florida, we have Ron DeSantis, So again, I'm not going to go into all of, the different politics and stuff, but I think we need to worry about just
things that
coexisting together.
Yeah, closest and things that affect your family
Hmm.
directly. You know what I'm saying? That reflect what you're doing. So at the end of the day, like for example, and like I said, we'll make this quick because then we gotta end this. Like for me, I tend towards Republican, not because I'm like so go, like, because a lot of their policies and taxes and stuff affect where we're at financially. You know what I'm saying? Compared to somebody that may not be there, being a Democrat, and voting their policies is more towards your family. You know what I'm
And
saying?
and that's a good point, because that's your social economic, right? And
Exactly.
that's, so again, your policies and stuff. That's why I say it's your worldview,
hmm
right? It's not your belief
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like I don't, I care about my family. I care about more money in my family's pocket. I care about more money to go towards my kids and invest in stuff. So I view things a little bit differently because of the income that we pull in. And okay, with this income, whose policies will help this income go further? You know what I'm saying? Compared to if we were low income, you know what I'm saying, and we needed more support and things like that. Democratic policies are for that because they're the ones that sponsor, like they champion for the welfare programs and
Mhm.
different other programs, stuff like
And,
that, which makes sense. And it's
yeah.
not a bad thing. If you there, then yeah, I would vote
and and
Democrat,
and I
you know?
will say, your different policies and stuff, different policies that are important to you and your family,
hmm
those all should be considered.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if, you're a high income or a low income, or, I mean, whatever policies matter to you personally and you and your family and the effects, that's what you should consider and talk about in your relationship. But don't let it spill into this, just friction and tension and all of that, because it's better to, go through life together, you know, than to navigate life separately in something as,
Yeah, definitely.
as tedious as
Yeah,
political
like I
division.
said, you got to vote what's best for your family and how you view it, and then come together with your spouse. If you can't come together and work together through the difficult times, then you're gonna have a problem in your marriage long run, because
Yeah,
that's what marriage is about: coming together during the
and working
difficult
it
times
out.
and working it out. So at the end of the day, if politics is a stop for you, if it's a no for you, then I think there's a lot more problems you need to be
Mhm.
recognizing in yourself and in your marriage than your political views. So,
Yeah.
all
And
right.
last thing to say, I
Mhm.
know we're going to wrap up really soon, but I don't want your political warriors out there to, come into our DMs and talk about, oh, you don't know the policies. It's affecting everyone. Oh, look at, what he's gonna do,
Mhm.
with the food. And I'm talking about the different programs and,
Yeah,
Title Ones. We're not talking about that, guys. So
we ain't
please don't.
defending or
We're not
voting or saying yes or
defending
right.
here. We are strictly talking on a relationship standpoint. We're not going to decipher policies
Mm-mm.
and go into it with you guys. So my political gurus out there, don't come for us with that.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
we're definitely not going to respond to
We
anybody
will
trying
not.
to talk about
We
political
will not.
views. That's not what this is for. It's not about right or wrong, Republican, Democrat, Independent, all that stuff. It's about coming together in a
Conservatives,
relationship.
liberals.
Yeah, it's about
Right.
coming together, right
Yep.
wing,
Yeah.
left, all that. It's about coming
Don't come
together.
to us about
If you're right wing,
policies.
left wing, we talk about y'all coming together too. If you're
Yep.
for this, anti this,
Y'all
come
come
together too
together.
in your marriage. That's what
Exactly.
this is
That's what
about,
this is
people.
about.
Thank you for making that clear.
Yes.
People being in the inbox.
No,
Oh,
can I be a political? Oh,
are you a
you don't know.
Republican? Oh,
Yeah, you don't know your
but
policies.
we ain't
And
responding to
this
none of
and
that crap.
Don't come. I got a master's in employment law. Don't come for me, please.
Whoa, whoa,
What?
wow, you just
What?
come, wow, you just had to throw it out there.
Yes.
Anyway, we appreciate you once again.
Thank you,
We love
guys.
the comments. We see that
Thank you
more
so
people are
Yeah,
subscribing to
that's why I
us.
did my hair
More
up, because
people.
people are like, they want to see my hair up and stuff because they always see it down. So
Oh,
I did my little old school wedding hair up
okay.
too.
I wasn't even talking about that. I wasn't
Well,
being vain. I was just
hey,
trying to thank
whatever.
people. Thank you for
Thank you, guys.
we see the people are viewing
Yes,
us and stuff like that. And with anything you start, you got to build up from the ground
of
up. So
course.
we're not here for trying to get the views and we're gonna be no. We're here really to help, and we grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Because we do this because we want to. So we've
exactly.
been trying to get together for 3 years.
Yes.
So we're finally here. But we appreciate y'all.
Thank you,
If y'all want to hit
guys.
us up, always just go to divorce not an option at gmail.com. Divorce not an option, yeah, at gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
You can check us out or go to our pages, our Instagram,
Yep.
divorce not an
Our
option,
socials.
our YouTube, which you'll probably watch
Hmm.
this on, and then our podcast, which is also featured on all platforms
Yep.
as well. Definitely check out the book.
The book
Appreciate
right here. Thank you
Men
so
are
much,
not meant to
guys.
be broken.
Yep.
Men are meant to be broken. Thank you for people that's buying it, reading it. We appreciate it and
Yes.
stuff like that. And our product line, cultureskin.com. Also, last, we're not only certified life coaches in relationship, we are also critics. So
Yes.
go to
Coupleofcritics.com.
coupleofcritics.com. The page is booming. We want to thank everybody.
Yeah,
Go to
thank you,
that.
guys.
That's popping.
That's
That's
awesome.
really
Yeah.
popping. We appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So until next time, everybody.